salvage all the Bitcoin, put it in a trust. Anybody who owned it before the salvage can claim it back. And that's, I think...
Dear God, no, there's no property rights violation here. It's pretty damn simple.
I would just ask you what else that you thought was a distant threat really crept up on you in the last 10 years. If it's
lawfully self-custodied assets cannot be deemed abandoned, unclaimed, forfeitable, or subject to state... How do you even say that? I don't even know. I don't know what that fuck. I've never actually...
That is tough.
Never heard that word.
A shit.
Yeah, anyways. Solely because they are inactive or dormant. So would that?
It can change people's fear and get you around like a laser pointer and a cat, and without even knowing what's going on.
I sincerely believe that, which is I think there will be a salvage effort for the coins, probably led by the government. They're the best equipped to do it. Maybe a private sector company will get there. And the reason I think that'll happen is because I think the US has the lead in quantum. So I think a US company certainly there's industrial policy happening now. So with the stewardship of the government, we'll build the first quantum computer. And one of the first things they'll do, because it really matters, is salvage all the Bitcoin, put it in a trust. Anybody who owned it before the salvage can claim it back. And that's, I think, much more tolerable to the Bitcoin community than, fork to freeze the coins. I don't think that'll happen. Even if it should, I don't think it will.
Mm-hmm.
It might. Now that we have a consortium, maybe things...
Hey, we're not suggesting anything about that.
I know.
So there we have it. Again, he's talking about thinks that
he's right.
But the opposite option of fork to freeze the coins. I mean, Nathan, you've talked ad nauseum about it. You don't think that they should be frozen at all. I'd be on board with that, but maybe you just want to outline really quick your thinking around that.
Dear God, no, there's no property rights violation here. It's pretty damn simple. If you have a bunch of pirates on a ship and it goes down the ocean and then like 100 years later, some treasure divers go and pick it up, it's theirs, right? There's the most of the coins that haven't moved are lost. They cannot be recovered. I don't care if those go back into circulation. That's not changing the Bitcoin supply at all. I would not want any sort of hard fork for pretty much any reason, and this would be one of them. There's absolutely no point. I wonder if I can pull this up here. Let me see if I can just share my screen quick, because I think it's important to highlight, because it was the only thing that I could focus on the entire damn time. One, the glasses were doing a lot of work here. And how many times has this guy changed his appearance? Like now we got the goatee. I missed the blonde hair. I was trying to find that image as well.
Oh, it's an assault.
He just keeps changing. He just has to keep reinventing himself. That star is starting to sputter out a little bit. It's coming. It's totally fine. We can have a nice conversation. Go for it.
I'm going to defend Nick. I like Nick. I've always liked him. Two things, okay? Number one, maybe just aside from the quantum bounty for now, he did say months and months ago at this point that at some point, if you don't propose, the Bitcoin developers, Bitcoin community, a coherent, measurable and deliverable solution for the quantum thing, then the big money will get together and deliver on it. And if you look at the consortium list of goals, what's on there? The keyword is there.
Yep.
These guys are not going to fuck around and wait for, they're not going to wait for Justin Belcher or whatever the fuck his name is and a bunch of other guys with,
who?
Yeah, I don't know, Beckler, Belcher, whatever his fucking name is. I don't care. They're not going to wait for these guys to finish their tribal qualms to try and secure the network. And I applaud that effort from Saylor. Again, white hat for Mike today, first time ever. I think it's a good move for that consortium to do this. Whether or not I agree with the membership, different story entirely. Nick was right about that. I think he's right about this too. And the reason I say that is because if you don't get serious about this stuff, you're going to be. It's much the same way as like politics around the world works and jurisdictional arbitrage works. You will be begging for a competent government to engage with if something goes sideways with your Bitcoin holdings. And I think the US government knows that something is going to go sideways. The question is, who's going to be the one to facilitate that action? Who's going to be the one to be able to remedy any damages? And who's going to be the one to offer the solution to the network and the advocates and the big players in the network going forward? You want it to be the US government. I'm a Canadian. You guys are Canadian, a couple of you guys anyways. I think that we all agree that that's who you want it to be. And so I just like, I love the, your stars rising thing. I get it. It's funny. I also think that the mustache could go and the glasses are kind of dumb and whatever.
Just really quick, what do you think of this?
I mean,
nice.
It's fine. It's fine. I love Giacomo.
That's a great shirt. Come on.
Giacomo's got two things in common with me. He's a WAP and he's a Bitcoiner. So I'm pro Giacomo. I love the mustache. It's good.
Objectively hilarious.
I think Giacomo probably would admit, even if he's reluctant to do so, that you want the U.S. government on side with Bitcoin more than you want them offside. And I think there's like this, kind of imaginary continuum that Bitcoiners have about where governments will, sort of plant their flag and play along with you or be adversarial with you, and where tech companies will do the same thing. On this show, we talk a lot about the speed at which things are changing. And we talk about it in a lot of different ways. We talk about it on the AI side. We talk about it on the side of like technology and the cost of hardware and how consumers are being left behind, and the sort of Cantillon effect of whether or not you have the onboard in-house firepower to be a participant in this new economy and the new sort of flywheel of income and wealth production. But the other thing too is that there is a flywheel starting to build on the side of stuff like quantum. And I know we've talked about it before, and Walker's a pretty vocal critic of this thesis, so I don't want to like go too deep without him here, even though I am drinking a Miller Lite in his honor. I just think that people who view quantum as like a distant threat, I would just ask you what else that you thought was a distant threat really crept up on you in the last 10 years. If it's any answer short of everything, we got to talk about it. I want to know what things crept up on you more slowly than you thought over the last decade.
See, but that's where I disagree.
Well, go ahead. I mean,
quantum, I agree. There were many thoughts, but the thoughts came from like the actions of people, right? It was the actions of people that ended up being the big threat. It wasn't it was the man-made virus, but it was the actions of the man-made virus that the big issue. With quantum, I'm putting this firmly in the camp or bucket of global warming, right? These are the same people that are still buying up, oceanfront property. Until I see exchanges get away from reusing addresses, I don't give a shit, and I don't believe the quantum
I don't think
threat
the exchanges
at all.
The exchanges.
There's no way they are the ones that would be the most at risk. If you are custodying Bitcoin on behalf of somebody else, if you are the biggest exchanges in the world, then this is going to be first and foremost in your mind. And it's not even at the point where you're going to stop reusing addresses. Then I don't buy it. The only purpose of pushing this stuff forward is, again, to try and scare people into a consensus change, to try and get influence over the network. I'm still not convinced that quantum hasn't shown me anything of actually any value at this point in time. I'm still in the camp of its fugazis until at least I see them selling the beachfront property. Until they start selling the beachfront property, I don't believe you give a shit about global warming, or you think it's catastrophic, or you think it's coming at all.
I appreciate you using an Italian word, number one. Number two, I don't think exchanges are frontier actors. I think that exchanges haven't even figured out that Bitcoin's the only thing that matters. I don't think exchanges have figured out anything about...
Well, they're fiat actors. They're fiat actors.
So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about whether or not they're frontier actors or not?
Coinbase custody has the most to lose. Like they're the ones that have the most to lose.
These guys are not they're not wheel inventors. They are arrow enjoyers. And so if you want to be on the side of the arrow enjoyers, this is the corner to get in. If you want to be on the side of the wheel inventors, then I think much like many other frontier technologies, especially over the last 15 years, you got to get on side with quantum.
Okay,
I know.
One more quick one,
okay,
because it's specifically looking at like the consortium and BlackRock as well too.
You said consortium or consortium? Can we get some agreement on this?
Sure. I actually don't know.
Okay.
The only reason that BlackRock gives a fuck about quantum is because it's the fear tactic that's pushing away investors from coming into Bitcoin. I don't think they might have convinced themselves that it's actually a threat, but that's one of the few remaining FUD pieces that's preventing, I think, more.
Would you have said that? Would you have said that like 8 weeks ago? I feel like we had this conversation. Yep. You took the other side a couple months ago. No?
I have an open mind. I can change things. I see new evidence. I forget who it was. No, because you're right. Because there was someone that I was talking to. It could have been Brandon. It could have been podcast. I can't remember. But there was someone that I was talking to about like what are the normies afraid of right now, and they said quantum, and I was shocked because you're right. At that point in time, I was shocked. I thought that narrative completely dropped off. But I think for the people outside the space, the quantum threat is still something that they care about. So I think this is all going back to the earlier conversation. This is PR, that they have to do something about it so that investors can feel relaxed and good. But from an actual threat perspective, I don't think it has any legs at this point.
Brandon, come to my defense.
No, really quick.
Ben's
Ben's going to jump in here really quick, though. All I want to say for right now is this is why I believe FUD generally emanates from the state, because humans are very resistant to change. We don't want to change, so we look for everything to tell us, oh yeah, to confirm my bias, yeah, I don't need to change, good. I don't need to put work in, I'm good to go, I'll just stay status quo. This is where FUD very easily, quantum just out of nowhere, we got rid of the whole climate change narrative of boiling the oceans with AI. That got rid of the shit like this. Who was doing it for 17 years? It was the government. It was governments the FUD can change on a dime because it comes from the government. But to get someone to adopt something new, that takes much more. That's where the time and patience things come in. Anyway, Ben.
Yeah, so funny enough, this Clarity Act change ties in directly with what we're talking about here, which is interesting because Nick is saying quantum will break, certain address types. The U.S. government will then be able to take Satoshi's coins and then put them into a trust. That's basically what he's saying here. Funny enough, with the Clarity Act change, look at what the language is. It adds a new provision stating that lawfully self-custodied assets cannot be deemed abandoned, unclaimed, forfeitable, or subject to state. How do you even say that? I don't even know. I don't know what that fuck. I've never actually.
That is tough.
Never heard that word.
A shit.
Yeah. Anyways, solely because they are inactive or dormant. So would that then apply to Satoshi's coins?
I don't know.
That's an interesting little quandary.
How do you define lost treasure? I guess, right? Like Nathan brought it up. We talked about it months ago when this was like a sort of front facing, top of mind thing. I don't know. It's worth mentioning that the treasure one is sort of relevant because the government does have a say in who can, pick up buried treasure. I'm pretty sure, right? In the States, is it here in the States they have a say, right?
I think they have like eminent domain and a whole bunch of crazy shit. Civil asset forfeiture. Yeah, so they're pretty good about being like, it's ours. It's all ours. Thank you for that.
That's kind of ED. The second kind of ED you don't want is eminent domain.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because this is where I know, again, you hear a lot of this with the stuff going on right now with BIP 110, the spam stuff, the core of like setting bad precedent. Hey, this can set bad precedent. Well, that's what this makes me think of as well with the Satoshi's coins, where if you're worried about that precedent, then the precedent you're going to set with forking off to get his coins, that again just speaks to you're worried about the USD price at the end of the day of coin. I don't give a shit if these get dumped back on the market. Cool. It goes down to up from 1 million down to back to 100,000 or from 100,000 down to 10,000. Who gives a shit? This goes back to time. Again, time converts more than reason, patience. We keep trying to shortcut the process and we're worried about these random things setting bad precedent. This is like tort law here in the United States, right? We have so much bad precedent set over time. There's so many attorneys now. Everyone knows WTF happened in 1971. Explosion of attorneys among many other things. So now what happens? When I can't put food on the table, I just throw out any stupid case possible. And then just by the law of large numbers, a lot of these get accepted over time. You get actual verdicts or convictions on these things. And it sets terrible precedent. That's a world where you can obviously easily enter that inside the Bitcoin ecosystem, only being 17 years old. That's a similar thing we can go down because the quantum thing again, I don't know whose radar that was on, and now all of a sudden it's just like at the forefront of everything, like you said a minute ago. Because again, I think it's a state. I think they can change fear on a dime. They've got the city of London. We haven't said it yet today. But the apparatus, right, the intelligence agency apparatuses, they've got this down to a science. They can change people's fear and get you around like a laser pointer and a cat and without even knowing what's going on. Going back to what Nathan said earlier, the PR and taking the eyes off the prize of like, hey, we haven't talked about the stretch price all of a sudden. That's what PR is. PR was Edward Bernays. He changed it. Propaganda became public relations at the end of the day. And that's the playbook being run over and over again. So who gives a shit about the price? Let the coins be there for all I care. And then someone takes them. Great. That was on, you had your Fable 1000, whatever you're using at the time, and you figured it out and built quantum. Congratulations.
I was going to say, there's no way in hell you're going to get me on board for any kind of hard fork unless it's like the Unix timestamp fix. And that we still got a shit total. Like it's never going to happen. And I don't think you're going to get I hope to God you're not going to get the network on board.
That's 21 something, I think. think, right? What is the,
2106, I think
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
2106. We got to fix the Unix time stack. So at some point in time, we will have to do one hard fork, but that's it. That's the only one that I'm okay with. Otherwise, like my default position is you can just fuck right off.
I don't
Joey?
love the idea of ever like forking Bitcoin. And I will say that to Brandon's point earlier, this idea of like contention in the space is good, but it is distracting from some important things. Like the government is moving against us in a lot of ways in terms of like surveillance. We talked about DAC 8. We've talked about different tax. Yeah, flock cameras. Yeah, like the privacy stuff is eroding at a rate that's basically unprecedented. Much the same way that tech is improving at the same rate. It's being used against us. On the other side of that coin, I think Bitcoiners, for my money, Bitcoiners are probably the most competent group of people in any silo. I think tech guys kind of get some of it. I think, the anarchists get some of it. I think the family people get some of it. The Amish, the gypsies, whatever, they get some of it. But I think the Bitcoiners kind of get all of it. We might not get all of it in its entirety or in the entirety of their sort of required thinking, but we have like a view on everything that makes sense to most people who are adjacent to us. And I think that's unique. We got to take advantage of that because soon these communities are going to be difficult to form. Right now, we kind of have this digital archipelago of like, different nations and islands and whatever. You're sharing an ideology, if not a physical space.